Hey everybody, it's Avenger2K here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, for you guys that have not played Spider-Man PS4, I highly recommend you playing that before you play this game, as you're going to be spoiling yourself a lot. Plus, I think Spider-Man PS4 is just overall a lot longer of a game and a lot more of a satisfying game. I'm going to be going over the positives and the negatives of this game, so to balance things out, I must say it definitely feels a lot more like Spider-Man PS4 than I thought it would. I felt like this would be a standalone game, and man, do I not feel like it really is a standalone game. I actually do feel like I'm playing Spider-Man PS4 with some alterations and some differences. The only difference I have to say is there's a lot more technicality when it comes to the combat. However, I do feel like the combat's a little bit easier here this time around than Spider-Man PS4, or maybe it's the opposite. It could go either way. Enemies are a lot more unique in this game. That's one thing I need to give a credit for, is they put a lot of effort into the enemy variety. Combat is, as always, well done. I think it's probably a lot more superior over Spider-Man PS4. Not that Spider-Man PS4 didn't have good combat mechanics. I think this one just ups it a little bit better. I feel like it's a way better system. I feel like there's a lot more you can use, and you have a lot more utility towards how you want to finish off enemies. Whether it's the Venom dash, the Venom jump. I also find some of the gadgets are actually really unique in here. Well, like, for example, they have an electric EMP. They have an EMP type spiderweb gadget. They have gravity. They also have a hollow clone dummy of yourself. And then you have your regular webs. I do feel like it is, the world is a lot more lively this time around, and that's not a bad thing. I do like playing as Miles Morales, as he does have a more different style with his web swings. I feel like these web swing mechanics are a lot more fluid, or the type of moves that he does while web swimming is just so much more badass. The music is great. I really do feel like the Miles Morales type feel with the music. It's usually like underground pop or underground rap to more modern rap, and they like change the beat a little bit, which is pretty cool. Sound effects are amazing. The story is not very long. However, I feel like if you're expecting this game to be a standalone, it's not as much of a standalone as you think it would be. I feel like this honestly would be worth. I feel like the price the amount of money that it costs is just not really worth. It isn't really worth the price tag that they give it. I feel like $60 just really is not worth the amount of content that you're actually getting. The story is definitely not as deep or as good as Spider-Man PS4. Though I do like Miles Morales as a character, and I do like the consequences and the decision making, the hard decision making that he has to overgo in order to protect the people of New York. The story felt a little bit rushed for no reason. I feel like this game should have had a lot longer, should have been a lot longer than it really is, as it does not feel satisfying once you complete it. I feel like the story is just too rushed, and it really does, and you really do notice a lot of the flaws in the writing that, or the writing directions that they chose. For example, the plot really doesn't make much sense. I find the villains are pretty poorly written. And I just feel like I think that's due to the reason why I've said this before. I feel like the game is just is trying to rush itself, and it really does not have very much time to actually go and sort of like develop the characters that are in this game. Villains just don't have very good motives, and if they did have motives, I feel like it's probably the most laziest motives. And suits are pretty cool, as always. Insomniac definitely does make a good job on costumes. Upgrades are okay. There's not really any that stand out compared to Spider-Man PS4. I feel like you don't really need to do anything. They're not creative enough to like change the actual gameplay. They're just pretty boring and dull. I feel like it's not really, they're not really that stood out compared to the other Spider-Man games, just in general, honestly. And I feel like it's just not doing enough justice for Miles Morales as a character. I feel like it only sort of scratches the surface, but it doesn't. I feel like the story is mainly about him, but at the same time, I feel like the story isn't even focused remotely on him. I feel like the story is remotely on the consequences and hard decision making, and the fact that he's trying to take the role of Spider-Man. Also, I don't understand. Also, the other thing is, I don't understand how everybody all of a sudden knows who he is, family-wise, because they barely even meet him. And they just have no reason to know who he is. There's no real like indication of that. Oh yeah, he's Miles Morales. Spider-Man is Miles Morales, and like that kind of just did not make sense to me. I was up for the story until the second half. The second half is kind of what made me honestly lose a little bit of interest in this. I think if you're trying to compare this game to Spider-Man PS4, you're going to be very disappointed. And if you're expecting a standalone game, I think, once again, you're going to be a little bit disappointed, because I don't think there's enough... There's not enough of the cake. Like, let's just say you get a... There's 2 different cakes, and you get 2 different slices of cakes. One is slightly modified, and the other one is... It's the same cake, and it has the same filler, like, same, flavor, just the difference is it's just a little bit more sweeter. Or, in this case, bitter. That's kind of what I got. That's kind of my impressions with Spider-Man Miles Morales. Just as a whole, I feel like it's just a slightly bitter cake. I feel like it definitely does not hold up to the original Spider-Man PS4. There is some things I do like about this game, but honestly, I just don't really see the big deal. I feel like for people who have PS5s, I think honestly Cold War would probably be a lot more, or they're just better PS4 games. Like, you might as well just play Spider-Man PS4, because it's kind of the same thing. But I feel like it's just more creative, and I feel like this one just doesn't... It plays itself too safe. When it should be a lot more... When it should be a lot more, like it should be a lot more different from the original Spider-Man game. Another thing is, once again, side missions kind of just aren't worth it. I don't really see a side mission in this game, and this is the same problem I had with Spider-Man PS4. I feel like the side missions just aren't worth a damn. They just feel really lazy. They just feel more like side content and chores and stuff. And it's... That's one thing I really do hope that Insomniac actually does make effort in doing when Spider-Man PS5 comes out, is definitely focus more on the side content, because I'm a Spider-Man. I don't want to be doing things for I don't want to be doing things for the environment and stuff. Though it is friendly neighborhood, like, I want to fight side villains. There's enough of a rogue gallery when it comes to Spider-Man villains. There's Chameleon. There's Tombstone, there's Sulster, or I probably butchered that name, Scythe, or Smite, or Snite. Again, I probably butchered that name, Olivester Smite. And I probably, again, like I said, I probably butchered that name. There's Kraven the Hunter. There's... If you want to add in some, like, Marvel characters to Spider-Man, and then you can. Anti-Venom and stuff like that. Again, I mean, there's probably a lot more of a rogue gallery for Spider-Man than I'm actually aware of. There's Beetle. But, yeah. Once again, I think this game... It's good, but it's just not... It doesn't compare to the original. Yeah, there's some puzzle... Yes, there's some puzzles that are unique from another and way more creative. The stealth is a little bit better in here than in Spider-Man PS4, but besides that, I'd honestly wait for a sale. I honestly don't think this game is worth the price tag the that it's on right now. But that's just my opinion. I would give this game, honestly, I'd give this game at least a 70. I don't think it would be anything higher than a 70. I gave Spider-Man PS4 a 90, and I think that this is half of what of how I felt with Spider-Man PS4. It's good, but it plays itself too safe and just isn't long enough, and doesn't make up for the long wait that we really had. I feel like it was overhyped, and I feel like they could have done a lot more with this game as a whole. But yeah, that's gonna be my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and sub. I'll greatly appreciate it. And let me know your opinions about this game. Are you in the same offense, or do you actually like it a little bit more than me? But anyways, I'm out, guys. Peace. Love y'all.